This video is going to discuss whether the new exotic scout rifle Wicked Implement is going to be good in endgame content. So this isn't a video showing you how to get it. I've already detailed that. This is a video showing you to see if this gun is going to be useful in endgame. So just quickly reading the perks: Corkscrew Rifling, Accurized Rounds, Tithing Harvest, Fitted Stock, Creep and Attrition. The main exotic perk states rapidly land and precision hits causes targets to become slowed. It should say slowed and freezed, because you then freeze them. It takes 4 shots to slow them, then they become frozen, then you can shatter them, obviously, when you keep hitting them with the scout. This means you're going to be able to stun some champions because of this perk. This perk here, Precision Final Blows, while you have the Creep and Attrition, the exotic perk itself, creates a stasis shard that returns to you. Collecting stasis shards refills the magazine. So it goes with stasis shard builds, right? Now that also means that you can get surges easily with the weapon if you use elemental charge. So you get an armor charge when you pick up any of those: fire sprite, ionic traces, stasis shards, etc. Which means you can use stasis weapon surge to buff the damage of the weapon, and you can also use stasis the whisper of rending, where you get more damage to frozen targets, and you are going to freeze them. So this should work. I believe it never used to work with weapons or certain weapons, but it does work now with primaries, definitely. It even says weapons with primary that use primary ammo. This uses primary ammo. So yeah, it's going to gel with stasis builds, and you're going to be effective for the most part with it. So as I said, it does technically stun all 3 champions. Well, it stuns 2 of the 3. So for barrier champions, it does not stun a barrier shield. Stasis does not stun a barrier shield. It only momentarily stops the barrier from putting a shield up. If you're using this scout rifle and you haven't got stasis on, you need to have a barrier backup weapon. So say I was using Chaos Rage, I need a barrier backup weapon on. If you're using stasis though, you can actually just rely on the scout, but you need the turret build going. You need the turret build on stasis, or whatever stasis builds you use, and you need some sort of stasis assistance with your abilities to help the scout work. For barrier champs. For unstoppables, it's great, it's fine. You can stun unstoppables from a distance because the shatter effect will actually, in fact, stun a champion. So this will also help you get counter charge if you stun either Overlord or Unstoppable. So counter charge up this season, get a stack of armor charge, which thus gives you a surge when you've got surge on your boots. So it stuns Unstoppables. It also stuns Overlords, but the interesting thing this season is we've got Overlord Scout up. That was probably done on purpose because they knew we were going to get this scout. It would still stun the Overlords anyways, but it would be less reliable without Overlord Scout, because stasis stuns Overlords as well. But it'll just make it a little bit more consistent. So for Overlord champions, I rate the weapon. It's actually decent for Overlords. But so is a lot of weapons. Like an explosive scout rifle would do just as well. Right? But it does stun all 3, and you'll see the footage coming up. So all the tests with the scout rifle were done in the Grandmaster difficulties. Did not do Master, Legend or anything. You can tell by the multiplier on the right hand side. And the reses, of course. So you can see here that it's actually stunning, and we're getting text that I've stunned the champion. So it will stun, obviously. When you get the shatter, so you get the 4 precision hits, you get the creep and attrition, right? When you'll eventually slow, then freeze. When you shatter, that'll count as a stun. The thing is though, the damage of it isn't high enough to warrant using this solo wise. Like imagine 3 people with this scout rifle, right? That's fair enough. That would be like interesting, because you would be melting barriers. The barrier wouldn't have a chance because more stacks of slow would be affected to the target. So this weapon is like Outbreak Perfected. Think of it as Outbreak Perfected. The more people that have this scout rifle on, the better it'll be. So solo wise, obviously it isn't going to be that effective because it doesn't put out enough damage to warrant it to use it solo in a GM. in a dungeon, low-end strikes, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. But GMs, it doesn't really warrant you using it. You can use it, but your clears will be slower, ultimately. But if you don't worry about that stuff, then go ahead and use the scout rifle. So you can see on the overloads, I would rate it like a good 8 out of 10 for overloads. Because it's stopping the overload from shooting me, right? So I've got a lot of protection. So on overloads, it's a really good weapon. Unstartables, okay, does the job, but there are far better options. On the barrier champions, so barrier champions, it's a different thing. Like I said earlier, I don't recommend just only relying on this weapon for barrier shields, because you're gonna. This is the test done without a turret, so this is just me using the weapon. So look, barrier is stunned there, well, momentarily slowed. He's about to put shield up. We've got to use a barrier weapon now, because after you get a stun, you can then get, say, another 2 stuns with the scout. Then you've got to swap to the scout rifle, to an auto rifle. So look, I'm getting stuns here, but it isn't gonna last forever. So this is why I'm saying the gun's not that effective on its own. It needs a turret to help it, if we are gonna say that this is a barrier weapon of choice for you. So look, this is look at how the first clip was compared to this clip. To this clip, we get a turret up, and now we can just melt with the scout. Obviously, I wouldn't just play like this. People don't just play like this. They'll swap to the heavy, use a bit of heavy, then swap back to the scout rifle. But you can see it's doing a job of stopping the shield coming up on the barrier. So this scout will deal with all 3 styles of champions. It's up to you whether you would use it. I would recommend not for solo. For fire team, 3 of you using it would be interesting. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.